What up, folks, and welcome to the Kyber Culture, episode 116, with myself, the Mandalorian, and Din Johnson. Today we're chatting some Star Wars news, some shakeups in the Star Wars world, and recapping Season 3, Episode 2 of The Mandalorian. So stick around, make sure to follow the Kyber Culture on all our socials. The links are in the description. If you like what you're listening to, please consider leaving a rating and a review wherever we get podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. What's up with you, though? Before we get started, how's it going?
Not a whole lot, man. Trying to figure life out, move forward, still playing WoW.
Moving fucking sucks.
It's terrible. I actually hate it so much.
Well,
Trying to find roommates.
I'm sure you're gonna get a sick crib.
Yeah, it'll work out. It'll be fine. But just going through the process it's an absolute nightmare. But that's pretty much it for me, man. What's up with you?
Not a whole lot. More or less the same as you. Just working. Something I've really been enjoying is rewatching those arcs that we talked about in episode 115, the Clone Wars and Rebels arcs. That's a lot of fun. And I'm very happy that I did so because I appreciated this episode a lot more after watching those. But we can talk about that more when we actually talk about episode 2. Aside from that, booked another flight to New York. I'm going to go back in April, so that's going to be fun. We'll see about that. I'm probably going to go for like a week or so, considering moving there. We'll see. Everything is kind of business as usual on my end. But okay, so let's get into a little bit of Star Wars news. So, like I mentioned earlier, a whole lot of stuff happening, and honestly, subject to change. Like, they could honestly say, like, hey, like, we're actually, like, we said this, like, in this month, but we're actually going to change our minds, and we're actually going to move forward with it. But anyways, I guess in short, Disney is pretty anxious about Star Wars returning to the movies. For one, they had a couple of projects in development, which are no longer in development. So I'll start off with those. Kevin Feige, the head guy at Marvel Studios, he was supposed to have a Star Wars movie. I think he was going to executive produce it. I don't think he was going to direct it or anything like that, but that movie has been axed. Patty Jenkins, y'all will know her from directing both Wonder Woman movies for Warner Brothers and DC. She initially had a Star Wars film coming out. I think it was scheduled to come out this year, like later this year, but it was titled Rogue Squadron. That one got axed. I'm assuming, I think this was supposed to be like a fighter pilot type film, like an X-Wing fighter pilot type film. Like, I remember when they first announced this, there was like a little teaser of her talking about the potential to film, because she talked about, you know, her dad being a fighter pilot and like how she's like a Star Wars fan and all that stuff. So rest in peace to that film. But like I said, either of those could come back. I think if I were to pick one that would be more likely to come back, is probably like Kevin Feige's, but we'll see. Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi. No word on his trilogy, really. It's still kind of up in the air. They haven't axed that one. But Kathleen Kennedy said that Lucasfilm is still interested in like doing his Star Wars trilogy. I would say it's not really in development, but they kind of are like, they're wanting it to happen, you know. But he has other things on his plate, like this Peacock series called Poker Face, which I hear is great. I haven't tried watching it yet, but I hear it's good. And then he also has like all of his Knives Out movies that he wants to do. So we'll see where that goes. Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, this one's actually like still in development. He's going to direct and is supposedly going to star in it. Before I move on to those other things, or a couple more other things, do you have any thoughts on?
Because we talked about the slate quite a few pods ago. When this news broke out.
I feel like we talked about this like a year ago. Time doesn't make sense to me anymore, but
yeah, same. But either way, we talked about it and all like the potential producers, like all these like great directors, producers that want to make Star Wars content and that they had a possibility to do their own movies. The fact that they're all shelved, I'm not upset about. And I think it's funny because I think I was and still am most excited for Waititi's Star Wars, because I feel like it would be like most like Star Wars away from Star Wars that could possibly be, you know, like it'll just be the most out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking like Thor Ragnarok and like yeah.
We shared that image of like oh, like here's like some person's like theory of like what the Star Wars logo could look like under Waititi, and it looked like, you know, Flintstones. I'm not upset about that because I feel like in terms of Star Wars cinema, I think that's what Star Wars fans need in terms of resetting and just like moving in a different direction in terms of the cinema. But even if that gets axed, I'm totally fine with this because Star Wars series are taking control right now. And I feel like all of these directors, all the producers, they need to sit back and let Filoni and Favreau let them cook. Sorry,
hold up.
Wait, hold on. Don't.
Let them cook.
Yeah, let them cook. But like, I feel like it would be very wise of Disney in terms of the cinematic part of it to just relax, see where the series go, because we have so much good shit coming out in terms of series. Like, let Filoni and Favreau work, do your other projects, come back, watch the content, rethink what you wanted to do, and then figure out what you need to do in the future for Star Wars. That's all I'm saying. Like, and we're also a little bit disappointed from, 7, 8, 9. So I just feel like it's good to like put a massive e-brake, like, oh shit, there's a fucking car coming straight at me. E-brake it. Just hold off and let it happen. Don't force anything. Like, fuck Disney's finances. Bob Iger?
Yeah, Bob Iger.
Like fuck the finances, man. If you make good content,
People will watch it.
And that's really all I gotta say. I have no specifics about like the individual directors. Like, they all could be good projects, but nah, just simmer down. Don't force it, man. Just don't force it.
Yeah.
All I gotta say.
And I'm pretty much on the same page as you. Like, I mean, Star Wars is kind of thriving on TV right now, so like, honestly, this news I'm not thinking like, oh, this shit's a mess. I think they're like actually just taking time to just sit back and think about what they really want to put out there.
I think
it's the smartest thing that you could do. Like, instead of just like focusing on quantity over quality. Like, you brought up Bob Iger already. The movies, even though the sequel trilogy is extremely divisive, The Force Awakens is one of the top grossing movies of all time.
It's there.
Even the Rise of Skywalker is up there, which is like the worst of the three. know, they all made insane money. I think the only one that they were kind of let down from was Solo, and that's actually what he said, is that they were let down by Solo, and then he feels that the cadence was a little too aggressive in terms of what they wanted to put out. Honestly, I can see that. Like when I was, after Disney had first purchased Lucasfilm and they had already started releasing the slate, they were kind of putting out like, they made announcements like, oh, we're going to do Rogue One, we're going to do a Solo movie. I'm like, yeah, Han Solo's cool, but I don't know that I was really like looking for a young Han Solo movie,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people were. Yeah, and like to get what we got, I mean, there are thrilling sequences in Solo, but I mean, at the end of the day, it just kind of feels like a waste,
Yeah, sure, we'll get some Darth Maul too. Cool.
Yeah, no, okay. One
seconds.
A tease that is like, okay, are we gonna do anything with this or what? That was, yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, man. So they're really pulling back on Star Wars films. They're really thinking about what they want to do when they return to the movies, and I think that is awesome. Don't just be pumping like crazy shit out. Yeah, Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie. It's interesting because Taika directed, I think it's the season 1 finale of The Mandalorian. So yeah, man. Agreed with you. Like, let Filoni and Favreau do their thing on TV. But I also do want to say, like, I don't think it's the wisest move to leave the fugitive franchise just to, like, 2 guys. Just because I feel like you should have... Like, you just take the whole team that's working on The Mandalorian. You got directors like Deborah Chow, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rick Famuyiwa, like, the whole squad that's doing...
They all need to be involved.
They all need to be involved somehow. Like, Filoni and Favreau, like, I guess steering the ship is good, but, like, bring in the talent that's already on The Mandalorian.
Oh, and yeah, I agree.
You'll have a good built universe there, and maybe bring in like some other like tentpole directors to make some Star Wars movies.
They got a great thing going with the series. I just hope it spills over and eventually bridges to the cinematic universe, and then we just have like the craziest Star Wars we've ever seen. Even if it's 10 years from now, I don't care.
Yeah, I'll be there. I think the best thing that they could do for themselves right now is like tease Thrawn on TV, but then make a like a trilogy focusing on that, and maybe like potentially expand the world between 6 and 7. Like what happens to Thrawn at the end of Heir to the Empire? I don't know. You know what I mean?
He just gets like minorly defeated. It just goes on into the next big battle. Well, from his point of view.
Yeah, so I think there is potential there. Like build up Thrawn with live action shows.
I don't think necessarily a trilogy, but it's hard.
Thrawn?
I mean, you could make a trilogy. For Thrawn. I think you could condense the 3 books, either 3 seasons of a show or 2 movies. But you also have to get like the lore behind Thrawn, and I don't care. However they do it, just do it. Just get Thrawn in there. That's it.
I'd be interested to see Luke with 2 U's.
You're talking about
clone Luke,
like a little a little Mount Tantus, like a little clone Luke.
Yeah, that would be an interesting little thing to toss into the mix, just because everyone only knows Luke as a hero, and they could definitely just not even do the fucking weird CGI face thing. They could just cast someone that like looks like young Mark Hamill, pass it off as a clone
easily.
Like you don't have to do the crazy CGI stuff for a clone Luke, because like I don't think like all clones have to look exactly the same, you know.
As we know, we do know.
Like we yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. My imagination is just running now.
But. And you know, like if we get a little hint at Mara Jade, that would be pretty fucking tight too. Like Mara Jade's got some good story. If they throw Sabayoth in there too, I'm gonna be. You see me right now, Joe. Like, I'm full fucking eyes wide open.
You're fucking
like,
torqued.
I'm fucking flacked. I'm juiced.
We'll see how it goes. But that's what I'm saying earlier, is that like, because initially when Disney first bought Lucasfilm, they were like, oh no, these books aren't canon. But obviously now they're bringing Thrawn back. Like this shit's canon now. Like they can change their mind on a dime if, you know.
You can't throw away like 35,000 positive reviews on Audible for the fucking 5-star reviews on Audible from the books and just like disregard it. You can't do that. It's unfair.
I feel that for sure. And not only is it like high rated on Audible, but it's also like it's high rated on I just downloaded Goodreads. 83,000 ratings, almost 4,000 reviews. It's a fucking 4.16 out of 5.
Dude,
that's a fuck ton. Rave reviews all across the board. It's crazy. But yeah, so that's Star Wars news. Before we move on, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. All right, and we're back. Let's get into Season 3, Episode 2 of The Mandalorian, Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. This episode written by Jon Favreau, directed by Rachel Morrison. Let me start us off. I'll be honest with you. I did not think we were going to get Mandalore this fast. Like, exploring Mandalore this quick.
100%. 100%.
I thought we were going to go on some, like, you know, some random-ass adventure for Episode 2. Did not think we were going to, like, just dive straight into, like, the story of, like... This feels like the main thing. Is like, Mando, like, having to redeem himself, and then, like, what does that mean after he redeems himself? Well, we'll talk about it, but I really dug this episode. And I just have to talk about this real quick. I don't know if you saw this, but IGN, for some reason, I usually agree. Like, I find IGN reviews pretty agreeable for the most part. They gave it a 5 out of 10. Like, one of the main things that they were saying was like, oh, the lighting was terrible. It was too dark. And it really took away from big moments in the show that were supposed to be huge. But the fact that it was too dark, like, kind of took away from it. And I'm like, well, listen, like, if you have a bad TV, just say that, bro. Like, maybe just adjust your TV to factory recommended settings. Like, granted, I watched it in my bedroom and it was like pitch black at like 4 a.m. and it was dark out, so it looked great to me. You know, like everything looked fine on my end.
That's some fucking cap. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, okay. Factor cap. This episode was bad. Factor cap. That's big cap.
IGN is a gaming website. And they give shit reviews on good games as it is. Like, they don't even review good games well. At IGN in this shit. I swear to God. Adam. Dude, fuck off, man. Like, you're complaining about lighting and shit. That's what brings it to a 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10 over just lighting issues? Like, I think this episode is, like, not leagues, but I do think this one is better than the first episode. I'm pretty sure they rated the first episode high. I was like, no, this is great. Like, we get more like Mandalorian lore. It definitely progresses the story forward. So I just didn't understand this 5 out of 10 from IGN.
Nah, I don't
guys.
fuck with it. And it's always like it's one person writing something, and maybe they were intentionally super critical of it, even if it wasn't even
It's
something
bait.
to be critical about.
You know what? It's bait. It's bait, and we fell for it.
It's bait, and it's like, oh well, here's the one negative review on it, or like the minority negative reviews. Like let's go into that and see what people are saying bad about this.
I'm convinced it's bait. That like they knew by putting a bad review out for like an actually solid episode would get reactions from people online. So
Dude,
shame on you, IGN.
Also, if you're gonna say something bad about this episode, it's just Pelimoto coming back, and like that's it. Like it's that whole scene. Like that's it. It's not even that bad.
Oh, Pelimoto. Yeah, that's enough about IGN. But since you brought up Pelimoto, that's a good segue. We start out on Tatooine because we always got to go back to Tatooine in Star Wars. No way around Tatooine. Question for you, but yeah, no, we do see Pelimoto. She's hustling folks out here to make a little more extra credits. Gotta respect the game.
Her and the Jawas got some shit going on.
Yeah. Don't hate the player, hate the game. You think Bunta Eve on Tatooine is lit?
Fuck yeah,
dude. Bunta Eve on Tatooine is probably dumb lit. Like, you just go out there with with some spotchka and some spice and just watch some fireworks. That shit's probably crazy,
dude. Ever since fucking Anakin Skywalker came in there with the fucking pod racer, that shit's fucking banging every fucking year or rotation. Or
I'm assuming this is like New Year's Eve, right? This has got to be New Year's Eve for Tatooine.
I mean, the fireworks, all that, yeah, something like that.
Maybe I would love to experience Bunta Eve sometime. But anyway, something else that I liked in this little sequence: fucking Grogu with the fucking Force leap, bro. The craziest flip just to jump into Pelimoto's arms. Damn, that shit's nuts. Let's see what else. I'm a little. I like the return of R5. They're trying to bring back R5 into this, but these 2 episodes kind of have me feeling some type of way about droids, because it's like, okay, let's like spend like 15-20 minutes talking about IG-11 in episode 1. That's actually not going to matter by episode 2 because we're going to use R5 for it anyway. And I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what the hell was all this then? But I'm not going to knock it down for that. I'm just going to say, like, this is just the most like puzzling thing to me.
It's a little bit off-putting at a minimum.
At the end of the day, it all worked out for him, because he had to use R5. Well, we'll move forward a little bit. So after Tatooine, or you have any thoughts on Tatooine?
Nah, just Bunta Eve. Every time I hear Bunta Eve, it is Skywalker. That's all I hear in my head. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, so after that, we get Grogu and Mando traveling to Mandalore. And I can't lie to you, this one quick little piece of dialogue got to me. It's pretty much Mando talking to Grogu, like explaining like all the planets in the Mandalore system. There's Mandalore, Concordia, where he says he grew up, which I want to get your thoughts on that real quick. And then the one where Bo-Katan's at, I forget what the name of that planet is. But something he said to Grogu was that, like, oh, this is Mandalore. It's the homeworld of our people. Like, he's talking to Grogu. He's like, hey, like, you're one of us, How did you feel about that? Did that like pop out to you or anything? Like, right when he said our, I was like, oh, my heart.
it did pop out, but it's also like he made that decision. He took the Beskar chainmail in Book of Boba Fett. He didn't take the lightsaber.
He's a Mandalorian.
Like,
he's a foundling.
Like, if you were Mando, how would you take that? I'm going with you. Like, I'm here for the ride.
It was very sweet. I was like, damn. It's like, yeah, that's some awesome father and son shit right there. But let's talk about Concordia real quick. The fact that Mando grew up on the moon. I don't know why it eluded me of the possibility that he grew up on Concordia.
Did
you ever think about that? Or
no,
were you like he had to have grown up on Concordia?
No. It actually didn't occur to me at all, because they introduced this concept of a foundling in terms of the Mandalorian Creed. Mm-hmm. So I had assumed, or maybe even deduced, that like you could be a foundling anywhere. Mm-hmm. But like Concordia was a moon around Mandalore, and that's where like the Death Watch hide it out. Mm-hmm. That's where like Pre Vizsla was. I, for some reason, thought like Concordia and Concord Dawn were like one and the same, but they are not. Concord Dawn is like a whole nother planet that's shattered, and that's where like Jango Fett came from. It's crazy. But it's crazy. Like the second that they introduced this, like, oh, he was born on Concordia, I was like, fuck, that's crazy, because Concordia also used to be like a territory, so to speak, of Mandalore that had a governor. But the Death Watch came and it became this whole like political. Go watch the episodes we recommended.
But moving on, we fly into Mandalore. Honestly, I think it looks awesome. The VFX and the volume, at least to me, aren't overwhelming and actually looks like quote unquote real. Seeing those structures as ruins, like after watching these Mandalore arcs when they're not in ruins, looks amazing. Like they fucking nailed it. It's like just all these like weird shaped buildings just piled on top of one another. Like just seeing it in Clone Wars and like when it's all like sunshine and rainbows, and then seeing it like this, I'm like, dude, it looks exactly like it. It's just shit.
Torn apart. It's absolutely torn apart.
That's why I mentioned earlier is that like watching these arcs prior, like seeing Mandalore under Satine was so.
Who is Clan Kryze?
Yeah, who is Clan Kryze? If you guys didn't know, Satine and yeah. So just awesome stuff. There are crazy beasts occupying the city, and Din almost got clapped by him, but he's still having trouble with the Darksaber. It's like one of those. Din using the Darksaber reminds me of not Mjolnir, but like it's just one of those giant bastard swords, like like a big ass two-handed sword in like World of Warcraft, if you will, or like those big ass like mini bosses in God of War that have the big ass two-handed swords,
just like drag it behind them.
Yeah, just dragging it behind him. That's what this reminds me of. It's like that's how Din is using the Darksaber right now. It's just like a big ass thing that he can't handle. But he still got busy though. Like he like kind of wiped them all out. Even though it was difficult. But I don't know that he's getting any better with the Darksaber. Like the best he was with the Darksaber was when he was in the Book of Boba Fett, when he went after the dog looking bounty hunter. But yeah, no, he was still doing fine. What'd you think of the episode up to this point?
It's funny because he's definitely still struggling, especially when he was going up against big ass Mandalorian with the fucking chain gun.
Oh,
it's a Kryze.
Which
no,
Vizsla is that?
No, that's a Vizsla. That's a Vizsla.
I want to figure out his name. We need to get that.
I think
down.
In this episode of The Mandalorian, he's just about the same skill level with the Darksaber as he was in. Was that Book of Boba Fett or was that Mandalorian season 2? I swear to God,
where he's dueling the other Vizsla.
Yeah,
Paz Vizsla. That's his name.
Paz
Vizsla. Go. Yeah, no, that's Book of Boba Fett.
He seems as equal strength or weakness, whatever you want to call it, with the Darksaber there. But what I did find was funny is I felt like there was a couple moments in that little battle where Mando tried to like hide that he couldn't quite wield the Darksaber as well, as if he was fighting like other Mandalorians. But it's like, dude, these are just like random creatures. Like you don't even know if they understand what the Darksaber is. Like, what are you doing?
Figure it out, bro.
Figure it out. Still made really quick work of them. Love how he just kicked one of them off into like the actual city of Mandalore. That kind of gives you this like.
And this is Sundari. This is Sundari.
This is Sundari. This is the capital of Mandalore. It gives you the actual depth, like in terms of the geography of Sundari. It's fucking amazing. It's just it's a culture of people that have known pretty much nothing but turmoil and conflict for their entire like existence, except maybe dating back way to the old Republic when they were like all united. But to just see their world destroyed after they were almost united by Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan ruled for a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
But it's still so like heart-wrenching to see. Great scenes though. Great visuals. Fucking love it.
But keep going through the episode. Holy shit, like probably one of the creepiest aliens ever in Star Wars. The one-eyed spider looking thing, and it's actually controlled by like a smaller spider inside. Like the whole thing is just armor.
But it has like a human eye?
Yeah, no, a disgusting looking eye. Like super creepy. This thing fucking just injects him with like some numbing shit so that Mando is put out of commission. Honestly, this is one of my favorite sequences because not because Din Djarin was taken out, but Grogu fucking comes in clutch here. I think with this is, to me, this is like it's the cutest Grogu has ever been. like he tries to save Din by like force opening the cage or whatever. It doesn't work. He gets caught by the creepy looking spider thing, but then he escapes, and we get like a little side quest with Grogu, and I think it's awesome. But he like hops in his little like thing that he uses to move around. And he's like speeding with it, and his little ears are flapping. I thought it was just so adorable. But I kind of take like we briefly talked about this in episode 115. We were talking about the first episode. I kind of take back what I said about his time with Luke for 2 years. Like I think we were both
thought it was useless.
Yeah, no, I think we were both in agreement. It's like, dude, you were with him for 2 years and he can't do shit. And it's like, no. He can do some things. He was able to hold his own and escape here. Like he can do like a couple force flips. He can do some crazy force pushes. I think the most important thing here is that in season 1, maybe even season 2, I don't know I don't remember how much of the force that Grogu was using in season 2, but in season 1, if he used the force like at all, like he was like, all right, it's nap time. And now he can like use the force and it's like, oh, I'm good. So I think he's actually able to do quite a bit after 2 years being under Luke. I also didn't know that he can control his little seat. I thought he was just like hooked up to some Bluetooth with Din. But he can full on like drive the thing. He can turn on lights. He can like fly it upwards or downwards. I think it's awesome. I definitely loved Grogu here. I'm definitely down. I was hooked in more into the cuteness. But what did you think about Grogu here?
I'm gonna rewind a little bit. The trap that was sprung, the helmet that was buried, the Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
This is a stretch, but that Mandalorian helmet that Mando picked up was definitely white. I didn't see a lot of yellow, but what I know is there are only 1 or 2 clans in the Mandalorian culture that have white armor. The one I'm thinking of is Clan Ren. Who's a Ren? Sabine. Just throwing it out there. Do I think it's going to go anywhere? Am I hopeful? Yeah.
Well, let's move on. So after that, Grogu goes, he escapes and then goes to Bo-Katan. Luckily, R5 can pilot the ship to get to Bo-Katan. And then we got Bo-Katan going back to Mandalore, just kicking so much butt. You know, before the season started, I was picturing in my head, I was thinking like, when are we going to get the blue shields in live action? You know, because we never got the Mandalorian shields in live action, right? And I was like, oh, like, is Din ever gonna get one? And what if he did get one? And like he had this shield and held the Darksaber, and I was like, damn, that would look so sick. And we fucking got it this episode, but it was with Bo-Katan. And I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like Bo-Katan just kicking ass, like wielding the Darksaber with ease and just using that little blue shield. Like I was picturing in my head like Mando would like face off against Bo-Katan in like a duel or something, and he would have a shield and the Darksaber in one hand, and she would have her own like weapons or whatever. But I'm so happy that this moment that I was picturing in my head, it it went to Bo-Katan instead. You know,
Came to fruition.
Yeah, no, it was just so fucking cool. So I loved seeing that. She fights against the creepy ass spider, and it's just awesome. She has like little conversations with Grogu here and there, which are really nice. Like I like that she tells him like, you know, like the Jedi and Mandalorians used to fight like side by side. It just made me think about like her fighting alongside Obi-Wan and
Ahsoka, yep.
But yeah, no, like I think Bo-Katan was awesome, and Katie. I don't know if it's Katie or Kate Sackhoff, but I think this is probably her best performance as Bo-Katan so far in The Mandalorian, and I just can't wait to see more. But what did you think about Bo-Katan in this?
Fucking love her. You go from Grogu coming back in the ship. Bo-Katan thinks like, oh god, he's back again. I don't want any relationships with you. Like we don't see eye to eye. Ship lands, the N1 lands, opens up the hatch. It's just Grogu, and then her face instantly turns into concern. And you're like, okay, yep, she likes Mando. She likes Mando a lot. She loves Din. But you go down into this, and she's just, when she gets to the mines, she's a sharpshooter. I think she's the most skilled Mandalorian fighter of all Mandalorians in this timeline.
Yeah.
Or even in like the Clone Wars. Like she's the best. And you get a supportive appreciation for it here.
Mm-hmm.
She's, dude, saves Mando, kills the tiny cyborg creature. I don't even know what to call it. And she makes quick fucking work of the droid with the fucking Darksaber, man. I fucking loved it. I was like, dude, this is so fucking badass. Yeah, she goes full shield and sword with the blue, like, it's not even that big. It's not even that big. I'm like,
yeah, it's a little guy.
What are you gonna block with this? Like, what are you gonna block with this? But makes use of it. She is the definition of a Mandalorian, I think. She absolutely is. It's so fucking good. There was a part of me, though, I'm not gonna lie, when Mando got captured, I was hoping Grogu would use the Force to pull the Darksaber back to him.
No fucking way, dude. No. I would have. Hey, yo, no, low key, I would have been a little upset. I would have been like, nah, dude, you cannot do this. Not right now, anyways. This thing is literally your size. Like, the Darksaber is literally as tall as Grogu is. There's no way.
Probably 20 times heavier than you when you wield it, you know?
Yeah. Like, nah, dude. No way. That would have been fucking hilarious, though. I would have just been like, oh my god.
Next.
Oh man, that would have been so funny. But yeah, no, Bo-Katan in this, fucking awesome. Yeah, no, and then after she fights off, saves Din, they have like a little conversation over some Pog soup. I thought this was like, there are little things in this scene here. Like when he is like well enough to get up and move around. Like, after she had saved him with the Darksaber, like, I noticed this. Like, all his weapons are laid out, and he picks up his gun, puts it in his holster, picks up his knife, puts it in his holster, reaches for the Darksaber, just puts it away, and I feel like she was kind of there just, like, watching it, you know? Like, watching what he's gonna do with the Darksaber, you know? I feel like there was, like, a little tension there. You know, she just has to respect the fact that she has to win it in combat, you know? Like, she can't just... Like, he can't give it to her. I'm surprised that he didn't, like, because initially, after he defeated Moff Gideon, he was like, here, take the Darksaber, I don't care. I feel like he would feel some type of way about the Darksaber after her saving his life. Like, maybe he would at least, like, try again. You know what I mean? You saved my life, you deserve this. Even if it's just, like, a quick sentence, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, does Mando, like, totally understand that it has to be won by combat now? I don't know.
I think she's depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, we already got 2 long enough shots. Like, she's sitting on her air quote throne, and I forgot the planet's name, but she's sitting there and she's just totally apathetic and depressed about the state of the remaining Mandalorians. She has a willingness deep down to still rule Mandalore again, even though Mandalore itself, the planet in Sundari, is totally destroyed. If the power struggle comes up again, Bo-Katan is going to be there. And we'll move forward with the episode because it's probably going to be a power struggle.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, all that to say, let's move on here. So after Bo-Katan kicks butt, and after that conversation that they have talking about Pog Soup, we venture, or Bo-Katan takes Din to the mines of Mandalore, to the actual proper mines, to the living waters, if you will. And they have like nice little conversations here. I think this might be where Bo-Katan tells Din that she's royalty, like her family ruled Mandalore or whatever. Her family ruled it. And we get to the waters. We get to the living waters of Mandalore. Pretty much what goes on here is Din starts taking off. I thought he was about to go helmetless here. I thought he was about to take off his helmet. Yeah,
me too.
I thought that would have been cool.
I thought he was about to go full naked Pedro Pascal.
No, but I think it would have been awesome if maybe he removed the helmet, but I guess as being a child of the Watch, you have to keep the helmet on all the time. So it makes sense that he kept it on.
Even though he broke the creed.
Yeah, even though he broke it.
He still adheres to it.
Yeah. Still adheres to it and wants to like stay part of it so that he can like never remove it again. And I think that's like an interesting dynamic here in this episode, is that Din wants to follow this creed like so like down to a T, and Bo-Katan is like these are children's stories, you know, like I'll take you down to these waters, but it doesn't really like she doesn't really like believe. It's just like opposing like perspectives, you know, which I think is pretty interesting for this episode. And so he is like took off his jetpack, took off his cape. He walks into the waters, reciting that like creed of the Mandalore, which I thought was pretty cool. It's almost like a rebirth scene. So he's walking into the waters, and he like sinks to the bottom. And I'm wondering if he got pulled down, or if like if there's something like I don't know about him that just like weighs him down like heavily or whatever, you know. It's like in a similar fashion to where like he can't hold the Darksaber because it's so heavy, you know. I wonder if it's something about him. Yeah, like an existential thing that makes he himself as a Mandalorian like quote unquote heavy. If you get what I'm trying to get at, you know.
Yeah.
That makes him just sink straight to the bottom.
Because there's no way like moving forward what we see dragged him down that fast for us to not see it.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So after he sinks to the bottom, Bo-Katan does not sink to the bottom. You know, like she just dives straight in, and this thing is fucking like leagues deep. You know,
yeah.
She finds him at the very bottom of this shit. So she rescues him. And before we talk about the big reveal here, I want to recite this quote from the armor. It's the songs of Eon past foretold, the mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. And we see a live action mythosaur here, which is crazy because it's just been chilling down there. And I'm like, damn, like I didn't even know. I thought this was just like a creature that was supposed to be living above ground, but this thing can fully live underwater, and like maybe it's like down there waiting, you know, waiting for the new
the rightful heir.
The rightful heir to lead the people. Exactly. So it's just like, oh man,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's so cool. Maybe maybe they are setting up Din to lead them, but like I would even argue that it's even possible that like Bo-Katan could be leading them, you know, because she saved him and shit. Like I think it's still up in the air for both of them, you know. But yeah, no, the scene is just so interesting, and oh man, it's just so awesome. And like just to see like the final shot of this episode is like it's focused on Bo-Katan, but she keeps her helmet on, but you know she's just absolutely shocked at what she just saw. You know what I'm saying? Because she spent the entire episode talking about how like, oh no, these are children's stories.
Children's
stories. It's myths. Yeah, exactly. And now she just like saw it. She's like, oh fuck. You know what I'm saying?
It's just true.
Yeah. So what did you think about this final sequence?
I love it. I love that Din Djarin found the waters with Bo-Katan helping him. He was just ready. He had like the creed rehearsed, like everything, took off his cape, all that. And Bo-Katan sitting back there like, holy shit, I think I might be reforming here. Like the thing, like what I'm seeing right now is I disregarded all this. I dismissed all of this. And it's insane that I'm seeing this right now. Jetpacks in the water, not a huge fan. It did happen in the Clone Wars. So that's fine.
It happened in the Clone Wars. It happened in season 2 as well.
Sure, I got past that real quick.
Yeah.
But I love this. And then, going back to the whole IGN article, the lighting and all this shit. Oh, man, the lighting's perfect here. And I knew.
The city is destroyed, bro. The city is destroyed and you're underwater here.
There's no electricity, man. There's no government, man. Nobody's here, man. I don't get
Anyways, enough about IGN, but
yeah, enough about that. Fucking Mythosaur comes out in the second episode. I did not expect that. I don't think anybody expected this. I think it is tying into my vision of how the rest of the season's going to go into Ahsoka. I think they're going to tie off Din Djarin's story sooner than later so that they can move forward into Ahsoka. And I don't think we're going to get a season 4 of Mandalorian.
Oh,
that's all I'm going to say. Well, let's go back to the Mythosaur. Will he ride it? He
has to.
Your ancestors rode the great Mythosaur. I have spoken. He has to. But against who?
Has to be against Thrawn.
Moff Gideon's clone experiment, maybe? Who's he cloning, Because Moff Gideon's not dead.
He's not dead. He's just locked up by the New Republic for now.
Bitch ass Cara Dune's fucking holding that shit down.
That'll be interesting to see.
Do you think that's gonna happen though? You think
him riding the Mythosaur?
Yeah,
for sure.
You think for sure?
Yeah, I think for sure he'll ride the Mythosaur.
Yeah, I can definitely see him riding the Mythosaur, and I think at that point it's pretty much all of the Mandalorians around the galaxy are pretty much bow down to him at that point, especially if he has the power to fully wield the Darksaber. He is Mandalore at that point.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. This misguided foundling going from, I don't know, my way in the world. I was saved from the clankers, and it could just be so good. But the fact that they're progressing this so much, I think it's going to be, we're moving towards something else in the latter half of the season. But what do you think?
I'm just curious, I don't know anything about a Mythosaur besides what the skull looks like.
No, I don't either.
Obviously, it can swim and breathe underwater, but can it? I'm assuming it can also ride on land, but can it fly? I'm where are they gonna go with this thing, bro? I'm like, damn it.
I'm assuming it probably can't fly, but that'd be sick.
It probably can or can't.
Cannot.
Yeah, no, I don't think it can fly either, but I'm just what if it can fucking fly?
Well, dude, then we're getting into fucking Purrgil territory again.
There has to be a battle, right? He has to ride it into battle. He can't, it can't just be his trusty steed, right? There has to be some importance to it. In fucking Avatar, you ride fucking,
oh shit.
You ride, Turuk Makto. And you lead the people, but you can fly Turuk Makto into battle, and it can fight things, and it's supposed to be legendary if you can ride Turuk Makto.
The legendary mount.
Yeah. So it's okay, what's the deal with the Mythosaur? How are they going to use the Mythosaur? That's all I want to know. But I do think that he will ride it.
The context of why he rides it.
Yeah, that's the big mystery. That's what I want to know.
Shout out Lopi. Hit me with that question. I was like, bang. I don't think I want a Mandalorian season 4. Because if you're thinking about Mandalorian culture and where we're going with these 2.5 seasons, I don't think there's much to go from here. If you already introduced the Mythosaur, we got Mandalore. How much further can we go with the Mandalorian culture and with Din Djarin? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think Jon Favreau even said he doesn't have a definitive end for it yet.
Yeah,
but
that's a smart thing to say.
I don't know. I mean, there could be conflicts in who decided that Din Djarin's supposed to lead the people. I feel like the Mandalorian can still be broken, and he'll try to unite all of them for something. I think you can make another season out of that.
But it'll be overshadowed by Ahsoka.
What do you mean overshadowed though? Like, why can't they both exist?
I mean, they can, but it'll be like, I feel like it'll be similar to how we feel about Bad Batch right now versus Mando season 3. Like, they're both good, but Mando's a lot better.
I don't think they could just put an end to Mando just because Ahsoka does well. Like, Mando is the like I always bring this up, but it launched the platform.
True.
Like, I don't think people are going to be buying up Disney Plus to watch Ahsoka.
Okay.
Like, I think it's going to be good.
Season 3, Ahsoka, season 4, an Acolyte in the background. I mean, I think that after season 4, then it's definitely done.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I don't know either. I'm going off in like,
because like Mando is like an
established.
Mando is like an established brand, and we don't really know how Ahsoka and Acolyte are going to go yet. Especially since Acolyte takes place years and years before all of this.
True. For Acolyte, true.
Yeah, no, I think Mando and Ahsoka have to kind of work hand in hand, because they're both like Mando season 2 was more or less like a backdoor pilot into Ahsoka. I think they're going to be both dealing with the same problem. I think they're same conflicts, common enemy. I think they're going to just try to, build a shared universe. Like,
I read an article that said Ahsoka is going to be a spin-off of The Mandalorian. Like, that's not true. That's not fucking true at all. That's a false statement. Like, yeah, she showed up in The Mandalorian, but her having her own show is not a spin-off of The Mandalorian. It's in the same timeline, but it doesn't mean it's a spin-off of the show.
Are you taking spin-off as like a negative thing?
No. The way I see a spin-off is like, you introduced these characters in one series and then totally wrote different stories from that, like stemmed from that series. Ahsoka did not stem from The Mandalorian.
But I mean, they're a big part of Ahsoka, I think, is what's going to happen, continues from season 2 of The Mandalorian. I think that's what they're trying to get at. A part of Ahsoka's story, started like when she said, "Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn?"
In that aspect, yes, it'll be a spinoff of that.
I don't think it's a bad thing, but she is like I think I know what you're trying to get at. I think like she is, at least in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, she has much more content than The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian is just like, I think more people have seen The Mandalorian, I think, more than have seen like the bulk of like Clone Wars or Rebels. I think they'll have like a shared universe. That'd be interesting to see if they ended with season 3 of Mandalorian. Like, I could see how that would work, and have him just be like Ahsoka needs help. Then we do like a couple and if we only do like Ahsoka seasons moving forward, like he just pops in like for a quick like 2-episode arc or something, like, and establish him in season 3 as like the leader of Mandalore, and you could just go to him like a grief karga or something, like how they
like a recurring character that has importance but isn't.
He's not going to be there all the time.
Quintessential, yeah.
But yeah, this episode, it's not a 5 out of 10 IGN. It's at least a 9.
I kind of give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, that cliffhanger is just amazing.
Yeah.
The Mythosaur coming for a second episode? Oh, yeah. 5 out of 5 for me.
Pretty damn good. But yeah, no, I mean, any other thought? I think that's all I have on this episode. Any other thoughts from you? Any closing thoughts?
No, I just love seeing Bo-Katan back, seeing Mandalore post Night of a Thousand Tears. Shit hits you hard.
It does.
But she's like to terms with it, It
is.
But indeed, as the audience, you're not.
And I guess my closing thought: we're almost all done with footage from trailers.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I think maybe the next episode they go back to wherever the armor was. That's it. Like, we don't know anything else about the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Maybe it's random adventure time for episode 3.
Random adventure time? I oh man.
I think that's not what I want, but that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, that's our recap on episode 2 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. That'll do it for episode 116. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to follow the Kyber Culture on all socials. We got a YouTube page. Please subscribe. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. But until episode 117, we'll catch you guys next time. So peace.